joining us. And we appreciate you, world champion at 140 pounds in what, as I mentioned earlier on this virtual presser, one of the most loaded divisions in all of boxing as you get set to put on a show March 1st. So thank you for joining us as you gear up for March 1st. What are you most looking forward to being the co-main event?
I'm just excited to be back, coming off a big win. Just keep the momentum going. Um, give the fans a good show at the Barclays Center, in New York. I've been in New York a few times, it's the Big Apple. So, I'm just excited to be back and keep the ball rolling.
All right, Rayo. And then just for clarification, I don't believe we have Russell on the call.
Well, no, I'm definitely,
Oh,
I
there he
I'm,
got
de-
is.
Gary. Gary.
All right.
I'm definitely here.
There we go, Gary. Much appreciated. So you are 17-1 with 17 knockouts fighting out of Capitol Heights, Maryland. You are one of boxing's most prominent families. 2016 U.S. Olympian, knocked out your first 17 opponents. Came up short against the fighter we just saw in Alberto Puello, in which was a very entertaining fight. Now you got another opportunity to become a world champion. Opening comments on looking forward to taking on Jose Valenzuela March 1.
It kind of just blanked out a little bit, but I did hear some of the stuff that you said. I'm grateful to, like I said, be back before Alberto Puello. When I seen him, he had me grinding my teeth because I do want to see him again. Don't want to take this steam away from my up and coming opponent. Can't take nothing away from any of the participants that joins this sport. I never slack on anyone. They can say that this guy's trash. Doesn't mean I'm going to underestimate him. I'm, like I said before, fortunate to be back. Rayo, I'm pretty sure he got a game plan. Everybody does have a game plan. Sometimes it goes back to who is able to be flexible, show a level of adversity, because some game plans don't work and you got to switch on the fly. Hopefully that my opponent gonna have that come night of the fight. I got a chip on my shoulder, so I'm definitely coming to take the shine from the main event.
Much appreciated, Gary. And now we'll turn things back over to Rayo. Rayo, you're 14-2, 9 wins by knockout. You're the reigning WBA super lightweight champion out of Los Mochis, Sinaloa, Mexico. And you won the world title in an upset, upsetting Mexican star Isaac Cruz on your way to a decision victory. How sweet was it to become a world champion and on top of that, as the underdog?
It was a dream come true. Pitbull is a great competitor. He's a tough fighter. I went in there, I stuck to the game plan, I stayed focused, and I conquered the world title. And now I'm looking to defend against a tough competitor, and I'm gonna do the same. Stylistically, it's a different fight, and I like this fight better stylistically. Fighting a short fighter like Pitbull, you fight on your toes. It's a little uncomfortable, but this fight, I think it's gonna be a little better, more action.
Over to you, Gary. You heard what he said. It's going to be more action. What do you have to say about the style in Rayo and how you have this opportunity ahead of you to face a guy like Rayo and put your name in the hat now amongst the other elites of the division?
The way I see it, I got a shot at something that can catapult me to a great position. I already see myself as a fighter that is an elite. You know, uh, yeah, I lost to Alberto Puello. I showed sportsmanship and I took it to the chin. That's all you could do when you lose. When you got these battles, there's a winner, there's a loser, and it all determines on how you bounce back from that. It defines a true champion. I feel like the way I come back with this right dance partner, I feel like it's going to allow me to showcase a lot more things. I was more so on the conservative side coming up fighting Puello. because I felt as though that I didn't have to bring everything out of my arsenal. Why be flashy and do all of this extra stuff while you become victorious when you don't have to? Just bring out the tools that you need to use during the fight, dealing with a certain style, and you can be victorious still. You just don't have to do all of this flashy look. But I feel like having a chip on my shoulder, the right opponent in front of me, coming up in this next fight, March 1st. I feel like I do now want to dig in my bag and show some flashiness, show some different looks to the crowd, the fans that haven't really seen a certain side of me. Everybody is used to me applying pressure and that's it, but I can do it all. I have yet to show y'all that, and I will show y'all.
Now over to you, Rayo. You were the underdog going into that fight against Isaac Cruz. And many people were surprised when you won that fight and the way you won it and how you controlled the entirety of that fight. Um, do you feel like you will get overlooked by people, especially at 140 pounds, or do you feel like you get disrespected because people talk about the Haneys, the Ryan Garcias, the Tanks, the Tiafimos? What is it about that now you're a world champion in this division with those guys? People should be talking more about Rayo. What do you have to say to that?
Right. I don't know. I can't speak for them, but be a lot of many different reasons. I'm a headache for anybody. At the end of the day, I think stylistically, I match up nicely with everybody. Being 5'10", strong, fast. Uh, so they're not gonna want to talk about me. They're gonna move. They're gonna look for bigger fights. Move up to 147 or whatever they're doing. But I'm not too worried about that. I got a tough competitor in front of me, and I'm fully focused on him and getting the job done.
Now back over to you, Gary. You obviously come from your acclaimed family. Your brother was a longtime champion. What advice has he given you? I know he's in the gym with you every day. What advice has he given you now, stepping into another difficult test against Rayo, world title on the line? You're looking to become a world champion for the first time in your career. What kind of advice have you gotten from him?
Simply say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Last fight with Puello, I kind of deviated for personal reasons. Some stuff behind the scene happened, but I don't really want to get into all of that. Like Rayo said, I'm focused on my opponent right now. I showcase my skills, become victorious, and it was a question asked. So I brought up Puello. Would he be willing to unify immediately back with me? I love that question because my whole objective is to get the title, to immediately unify. I told people a long time ago, I want to wipe out my division 140. Then I'm willing to bounce down to 135 or 147. It doesn't matter. I want to give the boxing industry, the boxing world, their due. I want to give them that entertainment that they deserve. We are all year round sport, and I feel like me and the rest of the Russell family that participate in this sport are a staple to this sport.
No, I believe we might have lost Gary for a second. Gary, you with us?
I'm still here. What all did you catch?
We heard most of it. You just cut off towards the end there. That about your family being a staple and fight fans. They want to see your family, in big fights.
And it's not just my family, just big fights that are entertaining in general.
Yep.
I don't like some of the champions that are champions right now have certain craftiness about them that would give the crowd the ooh and ah, certain style. Now, granted, they win. That's how you got the title. But I don't feel like they got a style that is fan friendly. I want to give that fan friendly entertainment. I'm not saying rock'em sock'em robots, but still action packed.
Absolutely.
That's
And this matchup, stylistically seems like it is going to be action packed. I've seen Rayo in, all out wars. I've seen you in wars. And, that's what fans are looking forward to as the co-main event. So Rayo, I want to go to you, real quick before we turn things over to the media. You've seen, Russell throughout his career. You've been on the opposite end. You guys have both been, gearing up towards the same thing. You are now able to become a world champion. What have you seen from Russell that, going into this fight, you have as far as skills and, mental game and the mental side that maybe he doesn't?
I think you worded it wrong. I'm a world champion already, so. But yeah, um, I think he's a good fighter, but it's nothing I've never seen before. Um, Comes forward, double jab, left hand, high guard. I think he's solid, but I bring way more. I think I'm more crafty. And we just gonna have to wait and see March 1st.
All right. Well, now we'll turn things over to the media as they gear up for some questions. So, Andrew, once again, take it over. Raise your hands if you have a question, and Andrew will try to get to you.
All right. Thanks very much, Miguel. Our first media questions for our co-main event are going to come from Ron Goodall with Fight Hype. Ron, please unmute yourself and you can ask your questions.
Awesome. Appreciate it. I got a couple questions for both. Gary, first question to you. I know that you spoke a little bit earlier about some of the things that you wish that you could have did and changed in that last fight. But going into the fight with Rayo, do you feel that, Rayo brings a style that's more difficult or a style that benefits you more? In other words, a tougher fight or a more beneficial fight?
To answer that, I want to say no one fights the same. Like I said before, with some of the things that define a true champion and professional, you have to have a sense of adversity. You got to be flexible. Versatility is one of the main key factors that a fighter has to have. Rayo, he's shorter. I feel like he's more craftier than Puello. So he's going to force me to use a little different type of movements that I had to use with our brother Puello. Our brother Puello, he's a taller, longer fighter. He tries his best to stay on the outside and he keeps his opponent there. He's not an inside banger or brawler. So with that type of fighter, I have to use different type of tools and things and become victorious in a different form of fashion. Rayo, I feel like he isn't a style that will be more suitable for me, but I do believe that he has a style that will make the fight more entertaining versus me chasing a person around the ring like a chicken.
Awesome. My second question to you before I get to Rayo is, you spoke a little bit that you would like to unify if you get the victory. Is it ultimately, if it was presented to you, would it be to unify with Puello, or if there was an offer to maybe fight some of your peers like Duran or the Rayo or Rolly, some of the guys with big names, would that interest you a little bit more, or the rematch is more interesting?
Definitely the rematch is more interesting because I feel like that's a personal thing. That's something that's personal to me right there. I got to get that back. I don't care if I become undisputed. After I become undisputed, if he's still participating in this sport, I will call him out.
Awesome. And Rayo, I want to switch to you. Appreciate you, Gary, for answering the questions. I spoke with Pitbull, and I wouldn't agree with his take, but he said he didn't take the rematch because he felt that the fight with you would be considered a little boring. Obviously, I know fight fans differ from that. Would you say that fighting Gary in this case is better? Do you like this fight? Would you say this is a better and tougher competition than after fighting Pitbull?
Yeah, I like it better stylistically. Fighting a guy like Pitbull, I'll get the job done, but it's uncomfortable. It's hard for me to get leverage too when I'm on my toes. And stylistically, I like where Gary stands with his height and just everything about this fight. It's gonna open more shots up for me. So I'm excited.
Awesome. And my last question is, you spoke a little bit about it earlier, but it seems like you do get a little disrespected. And I know that you can't get down to 135, but if it was presented, for you to maybe fight Ryan and Rolly or even like T.O. who you sparred, or guys up there, would you take that or are you staying at 140 for a while?
Yeah, I would take a fight with Teofimo Lopez
Yeah.
or Ryan or those guys. I know I could compete with them. Like you said, I've been in there with him, so it'd be a great show, great exciting fight for the fans, and But first thing is first. I got to give my opponent his respect, and March 1st, I'm fully focused on him.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for those questions, Ron. Our next questions are going to come from Chris Moreno with Boxing and Barbecue. Chris, please unmute yourself and you can ask your questions.
Thank you, Andrew. So, two questions for Rayo. Rayo, you talked about your last big win. We've seen fighters lose focus after big fights. So, after your impressive victory over the esteemed Pitbull Cruz, how do you stay focused and motivated for this next big challenge?
I was more motivated, and I went right back to the gym. I did take a little vacation, but I was in the gym. Went right back to correcting some of the flaws I was doing and just getting better. Um, it brought me more excitement, more fun. Now I got something to defend, so it just brought more fuel to me. And once you get a taste of it, I don't want to let this go. So more motivation to keep winning.
Thanks for sharing. Last question. So, given you are training under Robert Garcia, 2024 Trainer of the Year, how does his expertise and presence in your corner influence your confidence and performance in the ring?
Well, it gives me a lot of confidence. He's been at this level before. He's brought many champions here, and he's been himself, a champion. So he knows what it takes. His advice, I can relate to it very well, and I think because he has such good experience, so everything he tells me, I take it with me, and it works. So, but yeah.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much for those questions, Chris. Our next questions are going to come from Carlos Palomo with Carlito Fight Talk. Carlos, please unmute yourself and you can ask your questions.
Yes, man. Carlito Fight Talk here. El Rayo. I've been watching you for a long time, and it's always an honor to talk to you. So break down, how do you feel about, working with RGBA and then working with Team Benavides all in 5 years?
Um, well, it's a new experience. I like it a lot. I'm getting better. I believe since I made the change, there's been drastic, change in my level in my fights. So, I'm excited just to keep progressing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what can we all expect, March 1st under the lights?
It's gonna be a hell of a fight. Gary comes to fight. I come to fight. But stylistically, it's a great fight. That's why I took this fight. These kind of fights excite me. So yeah, it's gonna be action packed.
All right. Thank you for that. Thank you for those questions, Carlos. We have time for just one more here. Our last media questions are going to come from James Bell with the Boxing Source. James, please unmute yourself and you can ask your questions.
All right, thanks again, Andrew. First question here is for Jose Valenzuela. This is, coming from adversity. Know that you had, the fights against Edwin De Los Santos, and then the first fight there against Chris Colbert, and then you turned around and I felt like had your best performance in the rematch against Chris Colbert, and then after that followed it up with the win against Isaac Cruz to win the world title. Coming off of those two victories. What is it for you to, have those performances leading into this bout against Gary Antuanne Russell, and as you mentioned, working with Robert Garcia?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Like, how is your psyche going off of those two wins while working with Robert Garcia, and how it's prepared you for these fights of this magnitude?
I feel good. I'm extremely focused. After coming off those tough two losses, I took my career basically into my own hands and, started doing things my way and, picked up Robert on the way, my coach Mario Rodriguez, who's with me. And, we just made a great team. And I feel like right now, this time in my life, and I just feel unstoppable. I'm fully focused, I'm matured, and, I'm excited to keep growing and getting better as a fighter.
Gotcha. And a question for Gary Antuanne. this is, coming off of your last fight against Alberto Puello. How are you approaching this particular fight, given that it is, an opportunity to become a world champion? And as you mentioned there, kind of show, the different skills that you have in this particular fight in comparison to the last one that you had against Puello.
I'm definitely preparing. We in the gym and we working our tails off. Not everybody gets these type of opportunities back to back. If you're a contender, a top contender, then yeah, you done climbed the mountaintops to get this opportunity. I feel like dealing with this particular fight, I'm going in it with a chip on my shoulder because of my loss with Alberto Puello. And every fight, of course, I want to prove something to the fans and etc. to myself. But I feel like this fight, I gotta do more. I don't want to just be mediocre. I don't want to just be looked at as someone that's been doing the sport for so long. No, I really need to, make a statement. All fighters should have that mentality, but that's where my head is at right now. I'm appreciative that I have the dance partner that I got in front of me, because you got some people that do step aside and say, oh no, I don't want to fight this. I don't want to take that fight. I don't want to take this fight. So shout out to him for being big on a courage and courageous side. This sport isn't for everybody. So like I said, I want to get the fans something that they are paying for, their money's worth. Class A, high speed talent showcased. That's what I want to give, entertainment.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Gary. Thank you to James for those questions, and to all the media that joined us today for your questions and your time. Thank you to both Gary, Antuanne, and Jose for joining us, and to all the fighters. With that, I'll turn things back over to Miguel Forrest to wrap things up.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. Rayo, Gary, we want to thank you both for taking time out to kick things off here on our virtual presser as we, get towards March 1st. Closing comments, Gary, March 1st, you against Rayo, looking to steal the show. How does it all go down?
It got to be a winner and it got to be a loser. But I guarantee you, I'm not doubling up on no L's. The first one wasn't an L for real. It was a lesson. I got to crack a few eggs and make an omelet. It's okay. You know what I mean? It's not about how you fall down, they say it's how you get back up. That type of thing. Me personally, I'm ready for March 1st.
All right. Thanks so much, Gary. Now over to you, Rayo. You're the champ at 140 pounds. How does it go down, and how do you retain against Gary Russell?
You guys are gonna have to tune in March 1st. It's gonna be action-packed fireworks. It's gonna be a clash. He's coming to fight. I'm coming to fight. Tune in. Pay-per-view March 1st.
There for a sec. But we want to thank you both for joining us. This is a fight. I'm telling you, it's gonna be fireworks. I've seen both guys fight for many years. They're always entertaining styles, and now for them to be both in the same ring, it's going down on Barclays Center March 1st. So we're looking forward to it. Thank you, gentlemen. I want to thank all our fighters and media members for joining us here on our virtual presser. Once again, March 1st, it's Tank against Roach, as we got a loaded pay-per-view card coming our way. Premier Boxing Champions on Amazon Prime Video.